Welcome everyone. Okay, we are at the top of the hour, so I think we can kick things off. So, well, hello everyone, and welcome to Farmer Office Hours. It's great to see so many of you joining us today as we continue our journey towards Mainnet Phase 2. Whether you're a long-time farmer or just getting started, these calls are all about keeping you informed, engaged, and equipped with the latest updates from the Autonomous network. I'm Jim, the head of community at Autonomys, and I'll be hosting today's call alongside Randy, our technical community manager, who will be walking us through the latest on the network's performance and node running hot topics. Okay. Before we get into it, a quick reminder to follow us on our socials if you haven't already. On X, we are at Autonomous.net. That's where you can get the most updates on our progress. That's where we're most prolific. We also have Autonomous Labs, where we post more technical content that developers and engineers are likely to find interesting. You can see our links there to Discord, Telegram, and our forum. They're all in the footer on our website, which is how I get to them usually. And all of these channels, they are the best places to stay up to date as we progress towards Mainnet Phase 2. Okay, as you can see, we have a packed agenda as usual. Randy's going to kick us off with the usual state of the network piece. I'm going to follow that with Mainnet Phase 2 roadmap update. After that, we'll be discussing some of the challenges we've discovered and addressed on Taurus during the Crossing the Narrow Sea. I'll be rerunning the bridge demo from our last call. Unfortunately, the recording was corrupted. So if you missed it last time, it's an opportunity to catch that. Apologies if you were here last time. You're going to see it again. And then finally, Randy will give us the rundown on an updated XDM guide we've just published. It demonstrates an easier way to transfer from auto EVM to consensus. You don't need to use Polkadot.js. As always, we want your Q&A questions, so we encourage you to pop them in the chat during the call. Please do remember to keep them in English so we can address them effectively. Thanks very much and welcome everyone. With that, shall we get started, Randy, with the state of the network?
Sounds good. Thank you, Jim. Let's see here. Can we do the next slide, please? Okay. So here's where we just go over the stats of both the networks. On the main net, our node count is at 1060. Actually, I just checked that just a few minutes ago. It's 1080. That bounces around quite a bit. Space pledged is 511 petabytes, and that does bounce around as well. And again, our latest version is still January 14th. Everything is running very well on mainnet, so there hasn't been a need to change that at this point. Taurus is where all the action is, though. Our node count is at 337, and we've got about 2.48 petabytes of space pledged. That has been going up lately. I think that's with some of the competitions going on there. And then our latest version, we had a new one just 8 days ago on April 22nd. And then to go over some of the changes in that new version, can you go to, yep, thank you, Jim. So for Taurus, we had, am I still there, Jim? Discord's giving me an error message.
I can hear you. I see have we lost the slides?
No, I'm seeing them. Okay, it was just a little blip saying it was reconnecting. Okay. So for Taurus, we've got some domain snap sync fixes that are in. I believe we're still working on a few more. We're not quite done with that. And then a bug that was introduced in the April 7th version of the cache not detected when the farmer is running in cluster mode, that was addressed in the April 22nd version as well. And then there's another change about reusing the last piece for the next object in a batch, just optimizing things a little bit. That is it for the new version. As far as the hot topics, we're going to actually discuss that in another segment after the roadmap update, where we'll go over each of the outstanding issues that we're aware of. Back to you, Jim.
Thanks very much, Randy. Okay, so I'm going to kick us off with Mainnet Phase 2 update. I know that this is something that many of you have been waiting for. So as we approach Mainnet Phase 2, our progress continues to be steady and purposeful. The most significant blocker currently remains the ongoing security audit in collaboration with SR Labs. As security remains our foremost priority, of course. To stay transparent with our community, we've provided real-time tracking links to GitHub, allowing you to follow the audit status closely. I will drop them in the chat in a bit, and as usual, there's going to be a forum post to accompany this roadmap update later on, which I have the links in it as well. In parallel, we're progressing with the essential preparations for token listings, another critical milestone requiring careful coordination there. Updates on our strategic plans for listings are provided in the dedicated marketing track section we're going to get to in a minute. We are committed to timely, accurate communication and will update the community immediately when these final critical items reach completion. They are on our critical path. The roadmap has been published and been updated since January, so hopefully everyone's following along. Okay, let's look at the tracks in detail. First up, the foundation track. So ecosystem grants program. The back-end infrastructure there, you'll see it's gone grey this month because the back-end infrastructure is now complete and being integrated into a polished, brand new Subspace Foundation website set to launch alongside Mainnet Phase-2. We use Notion to bootstrap the effort, but we're working closely with our design partners to ensure everything is in place for maximum impact when we make the big announcement. However, if you have an idea that clearly adds value to the Autonomys ecosystem, please reach out and share it with us. You don't need to wait for that polished website. We are planning an initial test run of the application process with an exciting early submission, which we believe will showcase the program's potential. You can reach out to me. I'm jim@autonomous.xyz if you have something that you think would be grant worthy. Please do reach out. Secondly, the remaining green item there is the stakeholder claim site. We've completed another thorough round of QA on our stakeholder claim site, this time focusing specifically on differentiated workflows, so tailored to each stakeholder group. The testing has gone smoothly, keeping us firmly on track. We anticipate no blockers arising from this important component. Okay, moving on. Engineering. So the agent framework, I do want to talk on this. So the Auto Agents framework continues to evolve with multiple developer experience improvements, big changes, streamlining the onboarding and operational workflow for builders. Our recent developer office hours just last week, it featured Saeed, who walked through several key updates. So the big one was that what was Auto OS, is now Agent OS, and that simplifies agent creation significantly. Developers can now spin up an agent project with a single command. There's no need to clone repositories manually anymore. In addition, we've integrated MCP tool and agent registries. They are now live. Developers can easily publish their own MCP and tools directly using the CLI with data stored seamlessly on our DSN and Auto EVM domains. So really making sure that it's easy to access those. And if you're not sure what MCP is, feel free to ask in the chat and we'll come back in the Q&A. Agent OS also offers straightforward installation for specific MCPs and tools, improving modularity and flexibility for builders. In addition to Agent OS, we have Agent Core now. This is where all the underlying logic has been abstracted into a single package. That's removing complexity for developers, and it means builders no longer need deep knowledge of underlying frameworks. Just connect and deploy their custom MCPs and tools effortlessly. To quickly start building your own agent, you can use that Autonomous agent template that Saeed demoed last week, or initiate it directly via the Agent OS CLI. You can read more on the Developer Hub, which you can find at develop.autonomous.xyz. Okay, moving on. So we still, of course, have the outstanding audit. It continues to be the most significant item on our critical path. We are actively collaborating with SR Labs to resolve remaining P1 issues. Regular progress updates are available during our developer sync calls. You can find the playlist, the dev sync playlist on YouTube. And please do note that priority tags can change as we implement fixes and make decisions about day one mainnet phase 2 feature prioritization. To track the audit process in real time, there's a couple of links that I'm going to see if I can just copy them straight over into the chat here. Yeah, okay, I'm hoping that this works. Yeah, okay, splendid. And we understand that the community has very keen interest in the audit's progress and its importance. So please reach out if you have questions or want further clarification on the significance and mechanics of the auditing process. Moving on to the community track, the Aurora Buildathon. So we recently sponsored the Kansas University Blockathon, which provided valuable lessons on how to better support student and beginner developers. While the number of fully integrated submissions was limited, this event highlighted clear opportunities to refine our developer resources, improve onboarding experiences, and better tailor our efforts toward diverse skill levels. So lots of lessons learned, lots of takeaways for us there from the QB Blockathon. Game of Domains. The Crossing the Narrow Sea trial has provided crucial stress testing of XDM. I'm sure that many in the audience are aware. It has highlighted several performance challenges, which the engineering team has rapidly addressed, including a number of items which Randy's going to speak on in a little while, but things like the two-peer problem, high operator node RAM usage, missing withdrawal share price. We do still have some outstanding items, if you're running an operator on Taurus, you're going to see that we still have some slow block messages. Some have been addressed with the runtime upgrades, but there are still some that need attention. Domain snap sync as well, which is quite important as a feature that operators are going to use to be able to sync their nodes come mainnet. And one of the biggest ones actually is the Astral indexer backend requires reworking. The indexer solutions that we have in place at the moment are struggling to handle the complexities of our staking workflows. Your ongoing participation and feedback have been instrumental in quickly identifying these challenges and guiding our prioritization. So I want to thank everyone who's participating in Crossing the Narrow Sea. Thank you. Core infrastructure deployments. So infrastructure continues to mature rapidly. Notably, we've launched a hyperlane bridge on Taurus, which facilitates seamless interoperability between Autonomys and Ethereum's Sepolia testnet. Additionally, the Cosmic Cultivators campaign in partnership with Talisman Wallet is underway, enhancing community engagement and further enriching the user experience through an accessible wallet integration. This item, the Deploy Auto EVM Infrastructure projects, is actually gone grey this month because we now have agreements in place to handle important infrastructure components on testnet and mainnet. So it is time to close this item down. So we have Block Scout Explorer for EVM domain deployments. Obviously, we have Astral for the consensus chain. We have indexing via the graph and subquery, very important tool required for developers building on our network. We have multi-sig and account abstraction via a safe deployment. And we also have that bridge, as I mentioned earlier, which is based on Hyperlane. Finally, the dawn of autonomy. We are planning for our Mainnet Phase-2 launch campaign, and planning is in full swing at the moment. We're working to deliver engaging initiatives and rewarding experiences inspired by the successes of Mainnet Phase-1. So keep an eye on our announcements. Your involvement and feedback will help shape these initiatives, ensuring an exciting and rewarding lead up to Phase-2. Hopefully some of you in the audience were around for Mainnet Phase-1 where we held Big Bang, which is why Dawn of Autonomy has a working title or a code name of Big Bang 2. Okay, and moving on, the marketing track. Okay, so APAC Growth Lead and KOL activation. So our newly onboarded APAC Growth Lead, Rose, has been leading efforts across several tracks within the APAC region, BizDev, PR and media with our media relations teams, and KOLs and affiliate marketing efforts. So we will be launching an official Chinese dedicated X account to support our APAC community members. Keep an eye out for that. I believe it's going live tomorrow if we've got everything in place. We have also begun exploring several AI and infrastructure related projects within APAC to bridge closer ties with the talented developer and passionate community members within this region. Our KOL program will be launched within the upcoming weeks with hand-selected key opinion leaders in various verticals, including AI, go-to-market, and community building. We're going to use this momentum to further increase visibility within our ramp up to mainnet phase 2. So I have taken a bit of a liberty. I've turned that grey because we haven't actually activated the KOLs yet, but I believe all the groundwork's been done. We have everything ready. We just need to get the other two boxes sorted out so that we can set a date and pull the trigger on our GTM. Speaking of which, listings and go-to-market. Our listing strategy continues with collaboration between our defined centralized exchanges, which will be announced close to listing to build out the listing roadmap. Due to contractual obligations, we are unable to announce the exchanges ahead of time and only within a range of 1 to 7 days prior to the official listing. However, each exchange will feature Autonomys within several launch programs that are designed to attract new users, incentivize initial liquidity, and provide an early access for the broader Web3 community into the Autonomys network. Our goal with these centralized exchanges is to provide adequate market access for all AI3 users worldwide. Moving on to the product track. Okay, so usability testing for staking. This past week, we conducted internal usability tests to establish benchmarks for our staking and nomination process, dog fooding, if you will. The feedback is being interpreted, and we have started the process of making user-driven improvements to the staking, to those staking and nominating processes on Astral. We expect to continue improving the flow with additional rounds of user testing, both internally as well as with cohorts of our existing external network participants, you guys. The feedback that you've given us so far, we are acting on it. Ultimately, what may start off as a screenshot in Discord ends up being an issue in GitHub, and then there'll be a PR to fix it. Data-focused experience. We continue to work closely with multiple integration partners on these efforts. We are currently scoping experiments that we expect to validate in the coming weeks. The result of these experiments will allow us to move forward together with our partners to launch multiple data-focused agentic products. We expect to have multiple parties collaborating on these efforts, creating ecosystem or interoperability with the Autonomys product team leading the way. A lot going on in product. Partnerships. Okay, so Varna. We are now officially listed in the Varna docs as a decentralized storage solution for all Varna projects using Varna Data Access v0. We continue to move forward with scoping on the horizon to explore how the Autonomys agent framework and SDK can be best integrated and utilized within Varna's ecosystem to create net new experiences. Second, DPSN. We've officially signed an agreement with DPSN focusing on real-time data streams. They will be utilizing the Autonomys DSN for various storage use cases. Additionally, we will be working with them to collaborate on MCP and sorting their in-house agentic initiatives. Finally, AWE. We have officially signed an agreement with OR to be their fully on-chain storage provider. We will begin supporting their data storage needs today and also start to pursue deeper experimentation together across agentic frameworks, again, MCP and other future lines of innovation. There's a clear theme here centered around MCP, of course. So in conclusion, the path towards mainnet phase 2 is clear, as you can see on the roadmap there. Though the final critical dependencies, the security audit and exchange listings still require careful attention to detail and execution. While these items are taking slightly longer than initially hoped, it's because we're prioritizing thoroughness and quality to ensure the long-term success and security of the Autonomys network. Mainnet phase 2 is a milestone for our network, not the milestone. So of course, we need to make sure that we're doing everything we can, all due diligence to make sure that we're setting ourselves up for success in the long term. We deeply appreciate your ongoing patience, support, and engagement as we finalize these last crucial steps. Rest assured, as soon as we are ready to confidently set a Mainnet Phase-2 launch date, our community will be informed first and foremost. You will be the priority. Together, we're nearing the finish line of this significant chapter, and I want to thank you all for being an essential part of our journey. Okay, and as I mentioned earlier, Randy is going to be giving us a rundown on the fruits of our labor while crossing the narrow sea and setting up operators. Randy.
Thank you, Jim. So we have a list of some things that we've been working on. Some of them have already been completed. Some of them are kind of at various stages of completion. If you could go to the next slide, Jim. I probably should have made this font a little bit bigger. Sorry about that. Let's just go over these. These are the things that have been fixed and not necessarily released yet, though. The first one is the high RAM usage, and that was addressed in the April 7th version. Another important thing for people running farming clusters on Taurus, the cluster cache wasn't working in that last version, and that was fixed. We've got a couple different error and warning messages, and some of them have been fixed here. The failed to submit XDM message was downgraded to a debug in the April 7th version. What that means is under normal circumstances, you'll never see that. If you if you set the debug up to run, then you will see those. The warning, new inbound stream peer exceeds inbound substream limit message, that has been fixed in an internal build. So the next time you see a Taurus build, that'll be in that one. The slow bundle processor message, that one also in the latest internal build seems to be much better. I've actually been monitoring it really closely today, and I haven't seen one message there. So that's looking really good. Again, that'll be in the next build that we release. And then domain snap sync, we are testing an internal build that is meant to address that as well. So these are everything that's either fixed or being worked on. I know Jim mentioned the 2 peer problem earlier. I don't have that on the list because that was fixed a couple updates ago. Let's go to the next slide. So these are ones that are still in progress here. We have a lib P2P bootstrap error timeout message. It doesn't hurt anything, but it is still outstanding to be fixed. The XDM message queue clearing slowly. I know there's been some improvements here, but the root cause has been identified and a fix is being worked on. As far as Astral goes, there are way too many issues to list here, but there's been quite a bit of work being done here. Over 15 PRs were merged last week, and we still have quite a few more that need review. A couple of the ones that stood out to me were the that are still outstanding is the indexer is out of sync frequently. And as Jim mentioned, we are kind of rebuilding the way those work. So please be patient with us there. When you go to make a transfer cross-domain from consensus to EVM, it'll say that it takes 14,400 blocks. That is actually only true on the other way around when it goes from EVM to consensus. And then some people have noticed that the API percentages and the stake amounts on the nominations page are inaccurate. I'm seeing that on some of mine as well. So that is being worked on. Other than that, that is this isn't an all-inclusive list, but it's pretty close. So we are tracking all these issues, and I will make sure that we keep this list updated as much as possible. We'll probably address it in the next farmer office hours as well. That's it for this segment. Thank you, Jim.
Thanks, Randy. Yes, so you're right. I put the 2 peer issue in. That has been fixed for a while now. Apart from one chap on the forum actually, who seems to be having some issues. But yeah, by and large, that one's fixed. And yeah, I mean, these fixes, these are all things that have come out of the feedback that everyone's provided since we've kicked off Game of Domains. I know we haven't been able to start stage 1 yet, and I know that crossing the narrow sea caused an XDM load that led to a bunch of discoveries on our side, and the engineers are working on them. So just want to demonstrate that there's a velocity to us identifying the problems, producing fixes, of course, because Mainnet Phase 2, we're going to put all of this stuff on Mainnet. And we have to make sure that it's up to the standards. So that's what this whole kind of effort is around. It's the things that we need to test so that we're confident that we're ready for Mainnet. We don't want to be finding these on Mainnet. That's ideal. Thank you, Randy. Yeah, and actually, I think when we say Astral issues, there's kind of a bundle of problems that we've got with Astral, and they all kind of relate back to that same item, which is that some of the staking workflows, along with the way that the subspace protocol, the chain, the autonomous network is based on. Some of those complexities, they're not really handled well by the solution that we had in place. So Mark has a PR open, and we are working as fast as we can. We want to get Astral back up to the standard we need so that we can kick off stage 1 of Game of Domains. Thanks, Randy. Right, okay, so moving on. As I mentioned earlier, maybe you want to grab a cup of tea if you saw the bridge demo last week, because I'm going to rerun it, because unfortunately me, messed up the recording. So some of you will have seen this already on our last Farmer Office Hours, but yeah, we're going to quickly revisit the bridging process. Before we get into that, let's talk briefly about why having a bridge is so important for the Autonomous ecosystem, and the opportunities that it unlocks for AI3 holders. So bridges serve as critical infrastructure for blockchain networks. They enable seamless movement of assets across different chains. For Autonomous, having a reliable bridge like our newly launched Hyperlane bridge, it means that AI3 holders can effortlessly access liquidity, decentralized applications, and exciting opportunities available on other blockchains. It effectively expands the utility of AI3 by opening pathways to broader DeFi ecosystems, marketplaces, and communities. So if you've been participating in Crossing the Narrow Sea, well, that is how we can get tokens from consensus to domains and back again. But then what about if I want to go from a domain to another chain, maybe Ethereum, for example? That's why bridges are so critical. Okay, I'm going to need to do a quick shuffle to change what screen I'm sharing, because today I'm very excited to walk you through exactly how this works. Right, let me stop that one, and it's asking me how the stream went. It went very well, hopefully, and I'm going to switch to this screen. Okay, can you see that okay? Okay, oh, hopefully you can. Please shout if you can't. I can't see anything. Oh, not yet. We can see it. Okay, thank you, Vexer. Okay, right. So here you can see I'm on bridge.taurus.autonomous.xyz. So here's the bridge. It's very simple. We can take our auto EVM Taurus testnet tokens, and we can bridge them to the Ethereum Sepolia network. So if anyone's not aware, Sepolia is one of the Ethereum testnets, the current one. So we're going to send some tokens across. So here we go. Because everything on Auto EVM and Sepolia is all EVM based, we can use MetaMask here. So I imagine that many of you are very familiar with how that works. I have an account set up with some tokens in it. You can see my address. I just connected MetaMask. So let's see if we can send some native TAI3, so our Taurus tokens. Let's send 10 over to Sepolia. So I'm gonna, okay, so you can see here that it's given me some information. Here's the contract address of the token on Sepolia. It's telling me that I'm going to send 10 over. It's giving me a gas estimate, and let's send those over. And I'm being asked, MetaMask is asking me if I really want to do this, a transaction request. It's giving me a a network fee estimate, which I'm going to confirm. Okay, excellent. Very quick today. In fact, I think that was quicker than last time, which is good. Okay, so I sent it from my EVM address on Taurus, on Auto EVM on Taurus over to the same address on Sepolia. And here's the remote contract address. And here, I believe I should get a pop-up into our Block Scout. As I mentioned earlier, Block Scout is our EVM Explorer, and we can see, okay, so that transaction has gone through successfully. Excellent. And we can see that my 10 TAI3 have been sent. And yeah, okay, so that worked lovely. So let's just try and send some back. So we'll go from Sepolia to Taurus this time, and this time we are going to send wrapped AI3, which is the token on Sepolia, and let's send 5 back this time. Okay, so very similar. Okay. I need to say where I'm sending it. Of course, by default, it selected itself the other way around. So I'm going to send from Sepolia back to my address on Taurus on Auto EVM. Okay, I'm happy with that. 5 AI3 on Sepolia are going to come back to my wallet. And we're off. Something that I'm not sure if I mentioned last time is that at the top there, I'm just confirming in MetaMask, the usual pop-up. At the top there, there's a couple of links to faucets. So you're going to need a little bit of gas to. Typically, you're probably going to, you've probably got AI3 to pay for the transaction to Sepolia, but you may need to grab a little bit of Sepolia ETH to send it back. Same deal here. So who sent it? Where's it come back to? The token address, and I am going to check. So this time we're not going to be seeing a transaction on our Explorer because, of course, this is a Sepolia transaction now. And yeah, we can see it's successful. And yeah, it's as easy as that, guys. So right, let me. Any questions about that? Pop them in the chat and we'll come back, because I am going to switch back because I do have something exciting that I want to ask you, which is, so this is backed by Hyperlane. In the back end, there's some contracts talking to each other, and there's a Hyperlane relayer. Hyperlane is a mature product. It's trusted by many other chains. And out of the box, it supports a number of chains. So you can see here we have a menu in front of us. We've been looking at these chains that Hyperlane already supports, and we'd like your feedback on which networks you'd like to be able to bridge your AI3 tokens to next. On the screen, you can see a list of them. Maybe you could pop your preferences in the chat so we can gauge initial sentiment. I do expect that we'll run a more official poll in Discord at some point soon. But today you've got the opportunity to steer the options on offer. Maybe there's one that you really don't want to be an option, but I'd love to know kind of, just a quick straw poll on the call today. Which ones would you like to see? Okay. I'll keep an eye on the chat for any feedback there, because I'm going to hand over back to Randy. Randy, you're going to talk us through. So we talked about XDM a couple of times already. This is how you transfer tokens around inside the network, if you like. And we've kind of we had there was an awkward bit of friction, wasn't there, Randy? Do you want to talk on that, or do you want me to explain why it was hard to do?
No, I can go ahead and talk about that, Jim.
Lovely. Do you want to take the screen share?
Yeah, that'll work.
Okay.
Just give me a second to select my one of 10 million windows that are open here. Okay. Okay, can you see that okay?
Yep.
Okay, This is a guide that we've created. It's not quite live on our documentation site, as Jim just added one more comment for me to look at in the PR, but it will probably be out in, I'd say, less than an hour. I'm not going to go over all the details because a lot of this is the same from the forum posts that we have. But basically, there's several different ways to do these transfers. You can go from the consensus to the domain or the domain back to the consensus. And this guide kind of outlines all these things. Basically, you start on our Astral site where you make the transfer to an auto EVM address. And as you go through, you follow the normal things where you approve the wallet transfer. It gives you a hash that you can look up and see the status on. And let's see, then you can check the balance on the other side to make sure it went. That's fine. But let's scroll down to the next section here. So the problem is when you want to go back from the EVM domain to the consensus, you can't do that with Subwallet. So we've outlined the process on how to do that here. It involves going to Poco.js, but it's quite a bit more involved in getting there. All of it is documented, of course, but it just involves going through Poco.js, which isn't the most user-friendly of systems. Luckily, we have a solution for that, and that is another web wallet called Talisman. We recently added this into our documentation, and there's actually contests that are going on for this right now. But it works very similar to Subwallet in that you can pop this up in your browser. Here we have an example where you can see right in Talisman that I can see I have a main wallet here, or a main account here, and then an EVM account. The nice thing here is that I can do this transfer almost exactly the same way as that we do the transfer from consensus to EVM. So you basically, in this example here, we're just showing the different balances on the accounts, but you go back to the Astral site and you just make sure that you have auto EVM selected as the front, or as the from, and then on the to, you use the consensus, throw in your subspace or address here, and you can click send token. It will take the 14,400 domain blocks. And even though it says approximately 24 hours, the domain blocks are running slower right now, so that can be a little bit longer there. Some people have seen about 2 days. But the nice thing is you get the pop-up right in Talisman, same way as the other way, and it will go ahead and make that transfer. So you never have to go to Poco.js to do that. It's just quite a bit easier. That's really a bit all I wanted to go over here. Like I said, this guide will be published in, I'd say, about an hour or so. It'll show up in the additional guides section here under cross-domain messaging. So that is it. Back to you, Jim.
Thanks, Randy. Yeah, so just to give people a little bit more insight into why our initial version of the guide had to have Poco.js. So originally, the Astral transfer feature, which is the XDM, the cross-domain messaging, when it was originally tested, Subwallet worked both ways. But since us releasing the XDM feature, yeah, so as Randy's highlighting there, they introduced this great usability feature. So there's a unified account system, which means that one seed phrase will get you an account across multiple networks automatically, like seamlessly. You don't need to do anything. However, it did trip up the integration that we have in Astral. In Talisman, it supports substrate wallets for the consensus chain, and it supports EVM wallets, and they're separate. So you are able to use that one wallet to transfer both ways. And of course, something exciting while we're talking about Talisman, we have that Cosmic Cultivators campaign. There's a prize draw, and next week we are planning to have the Talisman team come on a special edition call. So keep an eye out for announcements on that. But yeah, hopefully this whole process now is a little bit less scary. and a little less friction in getting tokens back from auto EVM to consensus. We're keen to hear feedback. Let us know if you experience any problems. Okay, let's go there, and hopefully, yep. Okay. Right, Q&A. Okay, so let's see. Now is a great time to pop your questions in the chat. I'm going to, excuse me, scroll back up and see if I can find some question marks from, okay. Meta Darmian, is there any reward for people who interacted with Galaxy Quest? No, there isn't. We have never said that there would be a reward. The Galaxy campaign that we ran a while ago was always intended to be educational. Thanks for the question. Okay, Zug. How to correctly track the audit? Statuses and labels change dynamically. Is it correct to consider that the audited label and approved status is final? Yes. So you're looking for that audited tag, is what is the state at which SR Labs have audited it, and everybody's happy that it's secure and there's no problem. And then a second question from Zigzag. If I remember correct, the most important tasks for the project were the P1 priority tasks. Is this relevant? Yes, absolutely. P1 priority tasks are the ones that we absolutely have to have. So let's zoom out for a second. Why is it important? Why is the audit important? Okay, so what SR Labs do is they audit the code and they go through it and they check whether they can find any potential problems. So could there be a bug? Is there an attack vector? Remember that Mainnet Phase-2, we introduce domains, so the decoupled execution environment, auto EVM. To get to them, you're going to need to have XDM. So all these things are very important to test thoroughly, make sure they're audited. The last thing we ever want to do is go off half-baked and have someone try and get their tokens from consensus to an EVM domain. Maybe they want to access an application there. Maybe they want to access an exchange that's integrated with it. It is critically important. I can't stress this enough, how important having the security audit is. There's absolutely no way that we can compromise on security there. P1 priority tasks. Yes, as I mentioned earlier, and I made sure that the wording was exactly what I've been passed. So the P1 priorities are the ones that absolutely have to be addressed before we're going to be ready. And there could be the SR Labs could come back and say, actually, there's a problem here. There's an issue that needs addressing, and also bug fixes that we find, like the recent SnapSync bug. They could require an audit as well. So yeah, following along in GitHub is the best way to stay up to date on our progress. Thanks for the question, Zug. Okay, Meta Darmian. I need Autonomys GitHub account, Docker, and Substack. Thanks. You guys haven't been active since the beginning of this year. What really happened? Okay, Meta Darmian, give us the link. We are very active in GitHub. Please let us know where you're seeing the inactivity, because there's an awful lot going on. Yeah, let us know, because that doesn't quite ring true there. Okay, moving on. Sage time. We have only passed 2 P1 audits. Is this too slow? Is security, it's not something that we can rush, I'm afraid, Sage time. We are very eager to launch Mainnet Phase-2. As eager as the community team are, absolutely, we want to get there as quickly as possible. It's not a question of, is this too slow? It's a question of how long it takes. Unfortunately, I know that everyone's keen to hear a date from us, and as soon as we set one, it will be in your hands. So yeah, please bear with us. It's absolutely critical.
Can I add something, Jim?
Of course you can, Randy.
Yeah. So I was actually thinking about that same thing. So I spent some time looking at some of these PRs, and some of these things are absolutely massive. Some of them I saw were in the 30s and 40s of number of programs that were touched, thousands of lines, things like that. What you're not seeing in GitHub is you're not seeing the progress that's been made on the outstanding issues. So yeah, we might have only had a couple P1s completed, but that doesn't mean that a bunch of the others are already have significant progress made.
Great point, Randy. Yeah, so I guess if you're really keen to see the activity, you can just go to the, so it'd be github.com/autonomous/subspace. It's quite sad that I know that, I guess, off the top of my head, but and you can just see the volume of commits going into the code base. So it is absolutely, we are pushing as hard as we can for Mainnet Phase-2. Okay, next question. Okay. Oh, actually, okay, so we've got some feedback. Metadamian is keen for Solana, Aptos, and Sui. I'm not sure they were all on the list. Solana was. I'll go back and check, but I will keep an. I will bear that in mind. And then follows up as well with Berachain is still new. I believe Celestia and XRP should be prioritized in this testnet phase. Okay, interesting. I will reconcile this against the list that we have of currently supported chains. Thanks for the input, Metadamian. Okay. Penguin knows everything already. Blockchain Oracle. You can never be too safe. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's the absolute last thing we want to do is rush these last few steps. Don't forget, this project has been in R&D since 2018. We've been building since 2020. We can't rush these last final few furlongs of the race. I know that that's frustrating for everyone who wants Mainnet Phase-2, but we can't release something that's not as secure as we can possibly make it. We have to set ourselves up for the future, the success, the long-term success of the project. Okay. Cocaine. I was wondering what amount AI3 will be distributed to staker. So are you referring to, oh, okay, right, okay. So I thought you were talking about game of domains there, but you say, I remember 35% goes to farmers. Okay, so let's break that down. Stakers. Okay, so you stake in one of two ways. You can either be an operator, so you are running a node with a certain configuration on a domain, and you're processing transactions, a bit like a validator on Ethereum. So you earn transaction fees. So people will pay a transaction fee, as I just did on the bridge, for example, and you will execute them and you will collect those transaction fees. So operators earn from the activity on chain. The second way that stakers earn fees is from by nominating to those operators. I'm just going to find the Academy page actually, because there's a really great section in there that breaks it down. So you can nominate to an operator. Maybe you don't want to run a node. Maybe you're not too au fait with running infrastructure, but you're an AI3 holder. So what you can do is you can nominate to your favorite operator. Thank you, Randy. Perfect. Quicker than me. Yeah, so then you don't have the overhead of running the node. And what happens is the operator is processing transactions, and you earn an amount of the fees that they're earning. So there's a little bit more nuance than that if we want to dig in. The operator sets a tax rate. So maybe if their tax rate is 5%, then what happens is 5% of all the rewards from the transactions that the fees that they're processing, they keep the 5%, but then the remainder is split proportional. So if you're, let's just say your favorite operator has staked 100 AI3 and you've nominated to them with 100 AI3. So what happens is if they earn 10 AI3, they'll take out their tax. So let's say that's 10%. So one AI3 would be held in reserve for the operator, but then the remainder would be split. So you'd both get 4.5 AI3. The academy is really the place to go, because it's all based on in the back end, it's based on shares, and there's epoch transitions where your relative shares have a value assigned. There's also storage fees as well. It does get quite complicated, but at a very high level, 35% does go to farmers. You're correct. That is the issuance that farmers get. 35% of total supply is held in reserve for farmers, and of course they've been earning that since we launched Mainnet last year. But stakers earn from the transaction fees. Great question, thank you. Okay, sending feedback. Okay, well, we love feedback, Metadamian. Feel free to provide that. Of course, the party doesn't end after, always in Discord. You can find us there. I have actually noticed, so we are restreaming on YouTube and LinkedIn today. And okay, so I can see Crazy has mentioned, oh, there's quite a lot of chat here. Blockchain Oracle, you're on YouTube and in Discord. Amazing feat. Bing Bang's out there, Captain. How are you guys? You're watching it on 2 devices. But what I wanted to pick up was Crazy has said Sui again. So I think that's 2 votes for Sui. I'm not going to repeat that. It'll make me blush. Thank you, Crazy. We love AI3 as well. And yes, we are absolutely here to change the world. Crazy. Okay, interesting. So a similar question about how much AI3 will be distributed to stakers. So same question, I suspect an alt account there. Okay, back to the questions in Discord. Would running an auto ID domain, would I get paid from the storage use of the AI3 network? Would running, okay, so I'm just trying to unpack that. So if you're operating, okay, so the dynamic is that the transactions that the operators are processing on the domain, ultimately they get stored by the farmers. That's what's in your plots when you're farming. Okay, that's how that is the data that's being stored. So the dynamic between the transactions and the storage works that, say I want to execute a transfer, I want to send some tokens to Randy. So I would submit the transaction to the domain operator, and in that transaction fee, there's a little bit held for storing the transaction as well. That's why we have these storage fee funds. There's a primer on the forum if you want to read more about that. So inside the transaction fee, there's an amount that gets paid to the farmer later on. If that doesn't quite hit your question, feel free to follow up and I'll try and answer it. Metadamian, is the auto ID domain still available or deprecated? So auto ID, so great question. So auto ID is a domain. So domains have runtimes, okay? And for example, auto EVM uses our EVM runtime, which is how you can use all your favorite Ethereum tools like Hardhat and Foundry. That's how it works with MetaMask. So another runtime that we have worked on is auto ID. So that tailors the domain, like the sovereign chain, the rollup that sits on top of the farmer network, that tailors its behavior for a particular use case. Now, auto ID is something that we started putting together, and we actually got quite far along, and it was launched on the last test net. However, what we felt was that we're not quite ready to release that yet. So it is still in our roadmap to go back. And some of the work that we've been doing with agents, like the Autonomous Agents framework, has really kind of sharpened our focus on what's important for agents. And of course, if you think about where we're going, where we're going to have probably a top level agent on our phone that we talk to, and it might be talking to 10 agents, and those 10 agents are talking to millions of agents, and all businesses have got agents. So we need this super scalable identity solution, and that's what we're setting out to solve with Auto ID. However, yes, development on that is on the back burner at the moment. Of course, we want to focus on getting Mainnet Phase-2 launched, but it is something that's in our roadmap. We fully intend to go back to it and finish the job there. Great question. Randy, should I send you my wallet address now or later? Okay, it was a for example, Randy. If you're short, I'll send you a couple of tokens. Cocaine again. If I run on domain ID, how would I earn different fee from an EVM domain operator? Okay. Okay, but then a follow-up question: would Auto ID domain pay different fee from EVM domain? Okay, so right. Okay, so that is an interesting thing. Okay, so if you check out that link that Randy posted, it gives you the exact calculation. Okay, so the amount that you earn will be based on the relative weight, I think we term it on the academy. Basically, how much computation is required by the transaction. Same as on Ethereum. If you're going to do a transfer, it's pretty cheap. If you're going to interact with a DeFi protocol, it's probably going to cost more because there's more code to execute. So yeah, it would be different, but more importantly, it's based around the relative complexity of the code that you're executing on that chain. Hopefully that makes sense. I do want to point out, so it feels like you're asking questions about multiple domains. At the moment, we only have Auto EVM up on Taurus. So I'm not sure if the source of the questions are coming from how the testnet was set up. But again, happy to answer follow-up questions if I can, if I'm not quite hitting the answers. Any more questions? I see Metadamian is typing, so let's see. See Bing Bang on YouTube. Hey, Bing Bang. Oh, and in Discord as I look over. How do you like the format, guys? Do you prefer it in Discord? Does anyone prefer it when we don't do it in Discord? Let's say that. Metadamian, would there be a light node on Autonomys to support who has a lower version of Toolkit to run the node? We don't have plans for a light node. So light nodes tend to do specific jobs, things like data availability sampling, for example. We don't have a plan for a light node at the moment. Interesting question, though. And one of the reasons why networks introduce light nodes is because maybe that kind of crunching transactions and there's a barrier to entry with some networks. On like the amount of hardware, the level of hardware required to participate. We pride ourselves on keeping the barrier to entry very, very low. So you can farm. I'm farming on this laptop that I'm talking to you on, for example. You need very modest hardware. You can contribute your idle space. Plotting can, plotting is a bit expensive on the CPU, but once you're plotted, it just sits there and you tend not to even notice it. I certainly don't. And replotting isn't as much of a problem as we've seen on previous test nets. Okay, so we're up to +8 on I like Discord better, which is wonderful to hear, guys. It does feel closer to everyone, and I also feel like we've come back to our roots, guys. I see we've actually picked up a bigger audience than last time. So I'm pleased about that. I think we'll continue in Discord wherever possible. Okay, guys, any last questions? We've got 1 minute left in the hour. Okay, no one's typing. So, okay, we're going to wrap up today's Farmer Office Hours. I want to sincerely thank each of you for joining us back here in Discord, bringing all those wonderful, insightful questions and that valuable feedback. It's your involvement that helps us build Autonomous into a stronger, more resilient and truly community-driven ecosystem. A quick reminder of the opportunities we've covered today. We've still got slides running. Bridging. So that new hyperlane bridge is live. Jump in, test it out and share your experience. I have seen a few questions from people. Are we going to incentivize it? We don't need to test it in the same way that XDM needs testing. But, we're just keen to hear, does it break? Can you break it? That's the main thing we're interested in. Also, of course, we do still have Game of Domains and Crossing the Narrow Sea. So keep participating in XDM trials. Your continued testing and feedback there are helping us refine the user experience ahead of Mainnet Phase-2. Cosmic Cultivators Quest. So it is time now to set up your Talisman wallet and get involved in our latest exciting farming initiative. Please do check out the forum post for full details. It's very simple and you get an exclusive role and they're all going to go in a hat and we'll pull out some winners and there are prizes. We're planning that community call next week where the Talisman team are going to join us and we'll be setting the start block. So you definitely won't want to miss that. We'd love to hear, continued feedback on today's call format. Please do let us know, outside of the call. I guess let us know if you don't like it, because otherwise we'll just assume that you do like it. Your voice helps shape our future interactions is what I'm trying to say. So please, use your voice. For those interested in technical deep dives, remember to follow that dedicated tech updates tag on X, which is @Autonomous Labs, alongside our main channel, Autonomous Net. Every like, repost and follow strengthens our shared journey toward Mainnet Phase-2. Nothing left to say, but thank you once again for spending your time with us. Keep an eye on our socials for future announcements. We look forward to seeing you at our next event. Until then, keep farming, keep questioning, and as always, stay connected. Cheers.